Captain Traore is building 50,000 homes in Burkina Faso to house, homeless people or people who are needing to up their investments and so forth on the ground in Burkina Faso. And this is going to obviously transform the ownership in the country, where people will now have real generational wealth, real homes that belong to them. And it is part of a wider initiative of Captain Traore's Burkina Faso government to stimulate the economy of Burkina Faso and the autonomy and self-sufficiency and upward mobility of the citizens of Burkina Faso. Captain Traore, everybody, give him a round of applause. As I keep saying in these stories, we cannot corroborate this information. We can't corroborate anything. So I keep looking, and people tell me that, well, you've got to go to Burkina Faso directly to get information. But how do we access them? That's the problem, because they don't have... Listen, if I was advising the Burkina Faso government, Captain Traore, I say, listen, man, you need... Mr. President, don't call it Mr. President, Captain Traore. I would say, listen, you need to have a dedicated channel online with info about what the hell you're doing. You can't just let all of these guys just go out there and be making up stories. We need a dedicated Burkina Faso hotline. In fact, a Sahel hotline. I'm doing it myself on my channel, my YouTube channel being the Sahel Watchmen of the Sahel playlist, which is what all these videos go in. Subscribe to that playlist, subscribe to the channel. Anytime that there's news, I try and put it in there about the Sahel and whatever is going on in Africa in that region. But we are limited. We don't have access to the direct corroborated news. That's the problem. Because I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, this is an amazing story. This is an amazing story. One of the biggest tools of colonial and neo-colonial control on the African man and woman is the control of infrastructure. Your roads, your hospitals, your schools, your banks, your bridges, your homes, hotels, all of this is how you're controlled. If you have no control over those things, you have no control over anything. Like, we know about your image. That is number one. If you do not control your narrative, you're finished. But if you don't have control over your infrastructure, you're not the one building it, you're not the one maintaining it, you're not the one who paid and owned it, you're not the person who is doing new initiatives for it, investments, you're in trouble. This is the beauty of it. Sankara, Thomas Sankara, who is the Burkina Faso guy who got assassinated in the 80s by Blaise Compaoré, who was supposed to be his friend. Watch my video. As I said, guys, the video of the assassination of African presidents is on my channel. YouTube does not want you to watch it. Click. I'm linking it in this video. And as I said, it's linked in the descriptions. Go and watch that, because everything, I keep saying it and I'll keep saying it in this episode, everything that I'm talking about leads back to that video in terms of what is going on in the Sahel and what we are trying to avoid. It links back to that video. When you watch that video, you share it. You do not just watch that video and walk away. You get that video and you share it with everybody, because everybody needs to know what's going on. Everybody needs to know what has happened to Africa, and everybody needs to know what to look out for, so we do not fall into the same traps. Because when you watch that thing, you realize that we are our own worst enemy, because they always are able to find an African to pull the trigger. When I looked at this, Thomas Sankara, this is his initiative. This is his initiative. He said, I do not want any loans from the World Bank or IMF. I don't want it. I don't want any aid, foreign aid funding, nothing. Everything that we make in Burkina Faso is with our own money. Because it's as if they do that and they own you. He who feeds you controls you. Thomas Sankara, 100%. Let that get into your minds. This is a man that said this one in the 80s. Africans still haven't learned that. He who feeds you controls you. And that is what Captain Traore understands. He said, listen, I don't want anybody to feed us. When I listened to his speech, which is also on my channel, he was talking about food, agriculture, infrastructure, and construction. That's what he was talking about. How many African presidents are actually focusing on those sort of things? That's what he was saying. And the reason why he's saying that is that, listen, we need to control our food supply. We need to control our grain. While he's doing that, Nigerians are doing GMO deals for GMO maize, so we can now have seeds that we are not engineering that are coming from overseas. Why does an African country need genetically modified organisms? Why does an African nation need GMOs? I don't want to get into the Nigeria talk in this video, but it's infuriating to me. We know about Europe and these other places where they do not have arable land and they're struggling to grow things. In Nigeria, you throw a seed from an orange over your shoulder, come back in 2 weeks, it's growing. In Nigeria, throw a seed over your shoulder. I'm talking about on the road, just walking around. Just throw a seed and just walk away and come back in 2 weeks, it's growing. That is how fertile the land is in that country. And we're doing GMOs while Captain Traore is over here doing infrastructure and doing deals for controlling their own agriculture. This is what I'm talking about, people. This is the reason why I say that, look, I look at a story like this and I say, look, this is how you're controlled, is by your housing. This man is doing initiatives to build housing. I cannot corroborate this information because nobody reports on anything positive about this Sahel Alliance. Nothing. They don't report on anything positive about that Sahel Alliance. They don't do it. The reason why they don't do it is because obviously it is very inspirational. People start asking questions of their own governments if you start doing that. Because I kid you not, if you had a situation where people were talking about the Sahel Alliance properly and really giving you up-to-date information about all the amazing things he's doing, guys, we would have a problem across the whole continent. Because a lot of citizens, I'm not talking about the actual leaders, people like William Ruto and co, who are just full-on Western dudes. I'm talking about people in those countries who are already tired of their leaders. They're like, we're tired of this. If they can now see day to day, week to week of a little baby country like Burkina Faso doing amazing things, what do you think are they going to say about their giant countries, their so-called giants of Africa? Nigerians are asleep as far as I'm concerned. We are sleeping. We are asleep as a country. Full on, we are in full, you know what they call REM, REM sleep. We are in full REM times to the power of 25. Nigerians, we are so asleep that we're sitting in that country with 300 million people. By official count, we're probably 500 million. Sitting down in that country while we're just being taken for fools. Just been taken for fools. In the meantime, these little countries all around us are doing things like this. Mali is a big country, so I'm not even going to call them little, but Burkina Faso? Come on, don't even go and look on the map for Burkina Faso and look at how small Burkina Faso is compared in relativity to these other countries. And then think about the gigantic moves that they are making. This is the result of proper leadership. It's the result of leadership. People with ideas, strong ideas. This is the result of it. It's not about how big you are. David and Goliath. David was not big. The Goliath was big. He beats him with pebbles, stones. It's in the Bible, guys. Read it. So, as far as I'm concerned, whether this story, and again, I bring the caveat, we cannot corroborate the Sahel stories. So every time I do an update on the Sahel, I always preface this with, I don't know if this is true. And there is no way of corroborating it because there is no official channel to go to. Unless I go to the embassy, and I can't be calling up the embassy every day and be like, hey, is this true? Is this what? You can't do that. I would love it if there were some Burkinabe people who are in Burkina Faso who would contact me. If there is anybody who is living in Burkina Faso right now, who knows what is going on day to day, that can contact me and can be giving me direct info, daily info, weekly info, monthly info, play-by-play of what is going on in Burkina Faso, get in touch with me. If you're on the ground in Mali, and you can give me play-by-play info on what is going on directly, video footage, whatever you can get to me, get in touch with me. If you're on the ground in Niger and you can give me on-the-ground info, get in touch. I do not want you to forward me stuff from other people. I don't want that. I want people who can give me that I saw this, I know this. If you want to then link me to a video and you can corroborate it personally, I'm interested in hearing from you. You go to the link in my profile, you've got my email there, info@themec.io. You can get in touch with me there, or you can leave a comment in this video saying that I'm your guy or I'm your woman. I've got the info for you. Because we don't have any other access point. I would love, we don't know. I don't like talking about stories I cannot give you sources of. Everybody knows that when you watch a MEC video, you're able to Google it immediately and find the information immediately. So you know I'm not talking rubbish. Unfortunately, with this situation and this region, we don't know. We don't know. The only time that the Western media and the mainstream media report on Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger is when something bad happens. Something that makes them look bad. You're still calling them junta like 3-4 years after they've taken power. They're still a junta. How you call people a junta when people in their countries are celebrating in the streets and jubilating? That's a revolution. How are they a junta when you go to the country, people are happy, they are jubilating? Where have you seen any footage of sad Burkinabes, Malians, and Nigerians? Have you seen any footage of that? We saw footage of them very sad when their previous presidents were in office. When Bazoum was in Niger, they were very upset about that. They didn't. When you look at Bazoum, I'm like, of course you're not going to be. This guy was chilling with Macron every day, like chilling with West. Like, of course you're not going to be happy with that. So from my perspective, guys we need to form some kind of connection with these countries to find out what the news is. I want to know about this housing thing because the housing thing is very important. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it informative, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to watch an extremely important video on the assassination of African presidents and to understand the past, present, and future of Africa, make sure to watch this video right here.